So àkọ́kọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú explaining what vulnerabilities are. A ṣàlàyé a ní vulnerabilities, these are weaknesses tá a lè rí lórí àwọn digital assets wa. But before ká tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ á dára wa padà lọ sórí the the fundamentals, essential fundamentals in terms of the cybersecurity framework nígbà tá a ṣàlàyé the GIPDRR. A bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú governance or govern, the govern function of the NIST CSF. Please, if at any point mo ń sọ àwọn kankan tí ò clear or tẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ yé, please drop mi padà, just let me know. I would so that ká lè tètè kó mọ́. Govern, identify, the second function under NIST ti identification a ṣàlàyé pé ibi láti fẹ́ create the assets register for all of the assets we have in the organization, so it allows us to know what assets we are dealing with, or what assets we are working with, or what asset are we trying to protect. Then we moved on to the protect function. Ibi láti define àwọn access controls, who has access to what, who has access to all of these assets that you identify. Then D, the detection. Òun wá ní pé a fẹ́ discover, are there any potential vulnerabilities or weaknesses on these assets? Ǹjẹ́ ṣá ní vulnerabilities kankan? So òun la fẹ́ determine. A wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú explanation of vulnerabilities. We said these are weaknesses, loopholes, and we gave examples. Ẹni tó bá ń lo Windows 7 in 2026 kó mọ̀ pé òun wà prone to cyber attacks because that software or that particular operating system is outdated, because it no longer receives support, security support from Microsoft, the creators. So it is vulnerable. That is logical for us to understand. Bákan náà, misconfigurations lè jẹ́ vulnerabilities gẹ́gẹ́ bí outdated software náà lè jẹ́ vulnerabilities. Àwọn ports tí ò yẹ kó wà opened ordinarily, for example, if I want to access facebook.com, I can only access facebook.com via the HTTPS ports. Tẹ́ HTTPS, or you access it via HTTP port. Àwọn ọ̀nà méjì tẹ́ fi lè access ẹ̀ nìyẹn. But you can access it via other ports like FTP ports. You can access it via this port. Shall I understand? So tán bá ṣe FTP port lẹ̀ tó wà publicly accessible, it then becomes a vulnerability. Nǹkan tá à ń try láti ṣàlàyé nìyẹn ni pé these can be vulnerabilities. Ojú tó lè gbà wá ó pọ̀. So àwa ní vulnerability management, ó ní life cycle bá a ṣe máa ń gbé gbà. Then we explained the ISO framework in terms of vulnerability assessment. Okay. About vulnerability assessment, Awani, the first step in passing the audit tó bá di bí ISO compliant, òun ni pé alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ń bẹ̀ is have an effective assets management and know what assets you have. That is the first phase in the life cycle. Òun ni identification. Kí ló sọ? Ó ní have an assets management process that includes an assets register. First step nínú vulnerability management life cycle wa ni identification, and this is where we create an assets register. So I think I have an assets register. Mo fẹ́ lo Google Sheets. see if I'll find my asset register here. Okay. Now, this is our assets register. Let's delete this one. So okay. So this is our assets register. Amani assets ID. Fún bí àpẹẹrẹ, a ní Motuntech MTTCH. After fún each of these assets an ID. Motuntech 001. I'm dragging. So each of these assets has their own asset ID number. I'm about under hardware asset type. Irú asset type only. Is it a laptop? Is it an MDM? Is it an access point or a router? Is it an IoT device? Irú asset tó bá wù kó jẹ́, in this case, ká sọ pé virtual machines. And let us start up a virtual machine. For example, I have this server. I can start that. So irú server yẹn sìn, a máa lọ wò what is the IP address of that server. So we'll open up the CMD and we'll type in ipconfig to see the IP. What is the IP of the server? 172.20.10.2. Good. So we'll pass that in. 172.20.10.2. Description: virtual machine. If this is an asset that belongs to the sales group, for example, or calculate the IT team or IT group. Serial number. Àwọn asset yìí wọ́n need their own serial number. Ó lè jẹ́ MT01 or MT-ITG-011, for example. Then tó bá ní tag department wo, the IT department. So assigned to asset register here will differ a bit from what we used to have. Torí we should have owner. There should be owner of the assets, but gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ojú kan náà ló máa ń gbà wá ká ṣáà mọ ntí a fẹ́ sí. Then the second asset, we'll do the same. If it's a firewall, we'll put in the IP address 172.20.10.45, for example. The description: IT firewall or IT group. Let's say IT firewall. The description for this should be IT virtual machine, IT VM. So the serial number, so Kasopiva departments IT. So bá a ṣe máa list gbogbo àwọn assets wa nìyẹn lẹ́yọ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan. I believe this is clear. Ṣé eléyìí clear ká tó move on from maybe? Do you have any questions? Okay. Seems clear. Ṣé what we have now àti documenting àwọn assets tani, so we know all of the assets we have that we want to assess their vulnerabilities. No more, no less. Àti parí first phase of the vulnerability management life cycle. Then the second phase says that we should evaluate based on it, but according to ISO, it says that you need to configure your asset properly before use. Of course, irú server once in tafe low for case study at configure already and it's working fine. Are you working fine? Let me confirm. Okay, so let's see. So let's just, so I had to configure it properly already. Now the IP address of this is 10.4, so kind of correct and me. So this is 10.4. That's the virtual machine. So I had to grab a bind. I had to configure assets to our own share properly. That is the next phase according to ISO. The next phase, we have steps in place to identify vulnerabilities, which means evaluation. Kalo vulnerability scanners láti fi scan àwọn asset tá a ti list jáde lórí asset register wa yìí ká fi scan wọn, and this is where we employ the use of Nessus. Èmi láti máa lo the Nessus tool. So let's get right into the Nessus tool. So we've had anyone amongst us that have downloaded Nessus and have this tool running. So this is what the interface of Nessus looks like. But tẹ́ bá ti kọ́kọ́ sign in, so mo ti run àwọn scan kan tẹ́lẹ̀, but we'll do it again. Ibi la kọ́kọ́ gbé yín wá, where you have my scans, you have all scans, you have trash, you have policies, you have plugin rules on the left hand side here. On the top you have scans, you have settings. Now this is your Nessus settings. So Nessus Essentials in Nimolo. This is not the expert version. So motion the expert version, Simon try láti upload plugin. It's taking time and I've not been able to how far it has gone. So it's still downloading its plugin, so it's taking quite some time. So me Wafeki and Draw, this is why we're using the Nessus Essentials. They do the same work. Okanje functionality is the expert version here, Oju the Essentials now, but notwithstanding it gives us the same output. Now let's get right into it. So this is the settings tab, this is the scans tab. You by default you don't have all this. By default you just have a blank page with imports, new folder and new scan. Okay, please go on, Mr. Kolawole. You have a question, sir.
Can you hear me?
Clearly.
Okay, great, sir. So are we going to install it on already installed virtual machine?
Can you come again, sir?
Hello?
Can you come again? Send me.
Your line is breaking.
Me get the question in that I said, can you come again?
Hello?
Can you come again?
It's breaking from your hand, sir.
It's breaking.
So the question is
okay.
Oh no. Me going.
Hey Joe, is it everyone that can't hear me in real time?
I can hear you.
Great. So, Ms. Olaso, can you please come again with the question, sir?
On break. Yes, sir. Sir? Okay, the question is me, but the question is
just go on with the question, sir. Okay, Intimo, grabbing the question, maybe you're asking if we should install it on the virtual machine. Intimo, grab them. But you can install it just like I mentioned yesterday. And install it your own personal Windows device, your local Windows device can install it. And I think I walked you through the process yesterday. Just type in download Nessus. So you look for this Tenable Nessus Essential Vulnerability Scanner. You click on it. So agbẹ̀yìn lọ sí page yìí. So all you have to do, put in your first name, put in your first name, your Gmail. You are maybe a student instructor, then you check this. So then you click on get started. So I send the activation code lọ sí orí email address yín. So just allow this to run. So then you just click on download and it allows you to download it, and it allows you to download Nessus. Then you just follow through with the installation process. Kojubelo, nothing ambiguous. So I just hope you grab that, Professor Kolawolisa. So mo feel pé àti digress at all. So this is the interface of our vulnerability scanner. This is the interface. Níbi bí n sìn, kí ni first thing tá fẹ́ ṣe? Ó rọrùn, very straightforward. Would have new scan. We have new scan on the top right corner here. We click on new scan. So our funny these different scan templates. Now, that job was asking us about PCI compliance, you know, this is where you find all this compliance scan. Eddie, you can run a PCI quarterly external scan, you can run an internal PCI network scan, you can run an audit cloud infrastructure, you can run an offline config audit, and so on. So you can do all of these on Nessus. In time try that Sony. JD again, you see that you can run all of these scans here, and the scan is automated. Now, there are different kinds of scan. Under Nessus, oríṣi scan mẹ́ta ló wà. We have the compliance scan, which is this one. We have the vulnerability scans. I need vulnerability scan, then I need discovery scan. Kí ni ìyàtọ̀ àwọn scans yìí? Tẹ́ bá run discovery scan. Discovery scan, ẹ máa rí pé ẹ ní host discovery and ping only discovery. Wọ́n yàtọ̀ síra wọn in some kind of way, and this is how I would explain it. So Sherry, there's a discovery scan tó jẹ́ pé ẹ fi lè identify if a certain host is up internally. Fún bí àpẹẹrẹ, I know that my okay, there's a question. Can I install both Kali and Nessus on my load? Yes, you can, sir. Yes, you can do that. So, my server, now this is my main computer, correct? And my main computer's IP is 172.20.10.2. But you know my server, the IP address is 172.20.10.4. Mo lè run a discovery scan from my main device. The discovery scan is just to run a ping scan. Ping 172.20.10.4. That is, I want to ping the server if the server is up. Now, you can see that it is not allowing us to ping. That means we have to fix it from here. Just as you know, Bashiman She, Imbatan She, AD, Active Directory. So we can just allow this to can change adapter settings. No, can change advanced sharing settings, and we'll turn on discovery, guest or public. This should be turned on as well. Then we save changes. So now I'm not trying to bug you with all of this. Mo can try to explain how discovery scans. And so you see that we are now getting a reply from our server. Now this is to check whether that particular device is accepting requests, is actively replying to requests. Bákan náà, you can also run a discovery scan For example, you can ping facebook.com. Now, this is a discovery scan and it is legal for you to do this. Legal, it is legal for you to ping facebook.com. So you see that you're getting a reply. Facebook is not an internal device. So what you're trying to do here is to see if the host is up, not if the host is actively replying to requests. Now, the host is up. Now we can discover the IP address of Facebook. So in Gata and Sheyi, this ping, this is called a passive reconnaissance. Among many passive reconnaissance, passive recon. We call it passive reconnaissance. So ìyẹn lè mú wa discussing kankan tá à ń pè ní footprinting. Footprinting, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ tó bá ti dàrú at any point, please ẹ pè mí padà. I would re-explain. Bá a ṣe ń lọ, àwọn nǹkan tí mò ń discover ni mò ń try láti explain. So footprinting is also known as information gathering or reconnaissance. A lè pè ní reconnaissance náà. So footprinting, information gathering, reconnaissance, nǹkan kan náà gbogbo wọn. So kí ni essence wọn? A fẹ́ gather information about a particular host, about a particular device, about a particular application. We want to, so ọ̀nà méjì la máa ń gbà ṣe. We have the passive and we have the active. We have the passive and active reconnaissance. In passive reconnaissance, in passive reconnaissance, you do not directly interact with the host, but in active, you interact with it directly. Passive is legal for you to do. Active is illegal if you do not have explicit authorization from the host. Clear? Professor Kọ́láwọlé wọ́n ní website kan tá à ń pè ní ọ̀yàwá motun wọ́n ní motuntech.ai. Èmi tí mo kàn bóyá mo ṣe lọ kọ́ cyber security, mo bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí scan àwọn web applications káàkiri, mo ṣe scan ní motuntech.ai to see if it has any vulnerabilities. Wọ́n bẹ̀ mí sign agreement kankan until whether I should do it or not. Sign agreement. So it is illegal when I access the vulnerabilities of the web application without explicit authorization. It is illegal for me to do that. It's only legal when I'm giving permission. I just hope that is clear. Me, if I digress, it's more try to explain the kind of scans that are under Nessus. We have the discovery scan. The host discovery runs a simple scan to discover live host and open port. It's a ping only discovery, a simple scan to discover live hosts with minimal network traffic. Now, question. Hey, Yawainola, please go on.
Good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
So I know you mentioned that for the passive reconnaissance, you show the scanning for Facebook, but you said we cannot scan any website without authorization,
Then.
like illegal. But Kilowado Takilo scan Facebook, is it because it's public domain?
Okay, great. I see you question. So, in Qatar, that's pingfacebook.com. This is a passive recon. It's more or less like going to facebook.com, on enter. This is not illegal for me to do. It is a publicly accessible web application, facebook.com. I can access it. It's the same thing as ping. Ping facebook.com. Share Facebook, wow, up. It's the same thing as just coming here and saying facebook.com. So this is legal for us to do. Ito wa illegal òun ni kí n wá lọ máa scan Facebook whether it has a vulnerability. Mo fẹ́ máa mọ àwọn port tó wà open, àwọn port tó wà closed. That becomes illegal. So what we did is just a passive recon, a passive information gathering. another tool mi mọ̀ bóyá yẹn clear kí n tó buttress the point yẹn so clear.
Okay, so we cannot, yeah, okay, so we cannot scan Facebook for vulnerability without getting explicit
Authorization from
legal
there
content.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni èèwọ̀
Yes,
ni we cannot do it.
yeah,
Yes.
but we can ping it
Yes.
to just confirm that the HTTP website is confirmed or something like that.
Yes.
But we can't for vulnerability because we don't have legal rights to do that.
Absolutely. 100% correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So interface established nìyẹn. So now ká padà sórí Nexus wa. So discovery scan yẹn, then our new vulnerability scans. Láwọn ara àwọn scans tá a lè ṣe, you can run a malware scan, it could be a vulnerability, dynamic plugin scan, advanced scan. So you can configure a scan without using any recommendations. So this just runs the scan automatically for you. Credential validation, verify that host credential pairs for Windows and Unix successfully authenticate to scan target. Then basic network scan. Now this is a full system scan suitable for any host, whether you have a web application or you have a network device or you have a domain that you want to scan. This suffices. Then any mobile device scan. This can scan an entire mobile device. You can use this to scan a web application and so on. Now, then compliance scan. We know what this is already. So for vulnerability scans, ele la man lo the basic network scan, because this runs. It functions well for both web application and network devices. Any kind of asset, tebani basic network scan, ma ṣiṣẹ́. So what we do is to click on basic network scan. Taba click on basic network scan, it takes us to this page. Sheko Daru. Should I continue or should I come again?
Yes, please. Okay, that was okay.
Oh, clear have you?
I'm following you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, for every scan, we need to. Okay, before I move to that, let's go back to scan templates, and let's go back to scans. So, in the moment, try láti ṣe nínú organization is to make sure that we classify assets accordingly. Gẹ́gẹ́ bá ṣe ní different groups on our asset register. Nínú asset register wa, ẹ mọ̀ pa àmà devices to belong to IT department. Àmà devices to belong to the sales group. Àmà to belong to, like that. So what I like to do is, when I run a scan, I usually like to create folders for each assets. What do I mean? So I'll click on folder, màá wá sọ pé IT assets. Then I'll click on create. So here, on the left hand side, MRE IT assets. Must create another folder. Muleni, sales assets. Create. You find it here. Sales group assets. Àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ, So we make sure man creates a more clarity and documentation man easier for audit. So àti ṣe yẹn báyìí, then we click on new scan, basic network scan. Great. Now our bossy be settings. For this particular scan, a máa fún ní orúkọ. Now orúkọ wo la máa fún? Since tá mọ̀ pé scan tá fẹ́ ṣe yìí fún the IT group ni, ó wá lè jẹ́ pé scan tá fẹ́ ṣe yẹn ó jẹ́ maybe the first scan of the year or something. A lè sọ pé the first scan. First IT scan. Description, you can give it a description. If you, it's optional. Folder will let save ẹ̀ output scan yìí will let save ẹ̀ under IT assets. That's to create the level. Click on IT assets. Then targets. Devices will let scan. Ibi láti wá máa fi IP address àwọn devices wá sí. Kí làwọn assets yẹn? 172.20.10.4 òun ni server wa. Now caveat òun ni pé àwọn devices tá a bá fẹ́ scan, they have to be up and running. They must not be switched off. They must be up and running. Very important. So I'm máa lọ síbí báyìí. So 172.20.10.4. If we have more than one asset, a máa fi comma sí. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n scan device wa yìí 172.20.10.2. 172.20.10.2. If we have another device, I'm at the comma C. Shall I understand? I'm at the comma C. So now we have just 2 devices. If you have more, Bebashin call and I'm at the comma C and call and the comma C. Is this clear, please? Mofik Peko Daru. Great. Now, this is the first field, Tani Lati field. Then we'll move on to schedule. Now, níbi schedule, ẹ má gbàgbé pé a ní standard. Standard will jẹ́ pé every 3 months la fi máa run scan yẹn, or every 6 months. So we do not need to come back to start saying àṣẹ insert àwọn assets yẹn padà. We just enable it. Frequency, is it monthly? If it is monthly, how many times do you want it to repeat? Is it every 3 months, every 5 months, 6 months? If it's every 3 months, you make it 3 months. I think there's a question. It means we'll be working parallel with IT team. Yes, that absolutely, Benny, you're correct. And parallel IT team. Holding got what's in mind means so. Yes, we'll work parallel with them to make sure that devices are up and running, and would also coordinate with them in case there are new integrated devices. To bá jẹ́ pé wọ́n tún ṣe deploy new set of devices sínú company or employee kan ṣe dé, a ní láti update the asset register wa and pick the IP address of the new device. So we need to collaborate with them. Absolutely, you're correct. Professor Ayobami, please go on, sir.
Okay, my question is, what if you have up to 500 users in a company?
So if you have up to 500, this is why we have an upload. So you see upload targets, you can add file. So okay. You know that you already have all the assets here. Okay. Assets in lori register already.
Sure.
So all you just do is copy all the IPs, copy it, open a new sheet, open a new sheet like this, new spreadsheet, and put the IP addresses there like this. Then you save it. They're about to save it. All you just need to do is to upload it. They're about to upload it. Khalas, what's it on? Agbe gbogbo IPs yẹn wá síbí. Show clear, sir?
Sure, clear.
Great. So, mo fi pé mo ti down àwọn questions àwọn professors wa. Yes, we'll work parallel with the IT team. Now, schedule. So, a sọ pé tó bá jẹ́ pé weekly ni àbí yearly, is it every year, every 2 years, every 3 years? We define it accordingly. Tó bá jẹ́ monthly ni, you find monthly, yeah? Tó bá jẹ́ every 6 months, 5 months, 3 months, you do it accordingly. So what day of the month? Leve ko ṣe ẹ máa sọ. So this is the day of, so it starts at this time, New York time. Ẹ máa mú time zone tó bá wà comfortable pẹ̀lú yín and the time it is going to start. So tó bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ ilé nsìn so every 3 months repeating by the day at 4 p.m. starting Sunday May 17th 2026. Shall I understand? This will start today. Tẹ́ bá schedule ẹ̀. So this is how the schedule runs. So ẹ jẹ́ ká ní láti schedule anything, but professionally you have to do that. Now notifications, because scanning yìí kò ṣe nǹkan téèyàn máa scan téèyàn wá jókòó tì. It is something you just put in the parameters, you just hit enter, it starts to scan, then you do other things, because it will take time for it to scan, because it's a comprehensive scan, comprehensive one. So tó bá ti wá ṣe tán, how do you want to get notified? You want to get notified via your mail, so you can just put in your email there that tó bá ti ṣe tán kó fún yín ní output, kó jẹ́ kẹ́ mọ̀, kó alert yín via your mail. I believe this is clear. Now every other parameter very important. Now discovery, what scan type do you want? Mo fẹ́ digress a bit. Ẹ má bínú, ẹ ṣáà máa fọkàn bá mi lọ. Àwọn information yẹn pọ̀, and since we have it recorded, you can always reference it. Sherry, vulnerability assessment or vulnerability management approach it and low. This is an approach of a 9 to 5 person. She gets approach of somebody working 9 to 5. But if you're approaching it from the point of view of someone who is a consultant, Tori, àwọn èèyàn tó bá ti develop a web application one time, sometimes they reach out to me. I help them assess for vulnerabilities of web application. Tó bá jẹ́ mobile applications, náà ni mo máa bá wọn assess the risk náà and give them a report. Now, if we are approaching vulnerability assessment from the point of view of someone who is a consultant, ojú mi la fi gbogbo process yìí náà papọ̀, but before you lay your hands on that project, there are some key documentations téèyàn gbọ́dọ̀ ní. There has to be a contract. There has to be a scope of work. There has to be an authorization letter. There has to be an NDA. There has to be an NDA. There has to be documents, contract, scope of work, rules of engagement, ROE, rules of engagement, non-disclosure agreement, authorization letter. Gbogbo àwọn documents yẹn a máa ní láti gbà. Now, under scope of work, now mo á tún wá fẹ́ bother yín pẹ̀lú nǹkan kan sìn. Ẹ má bínú, ẹ máa jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o. Ẹ má bínú. Cyber security fair, especially this defense part. Sherry, domains, network devices, network devices, IoT devices, and so on. They have 65,535 ports. Before we move on, ports. What are ports? Professor Kolawole, and I will share brief on what ports are. Professor Kolawole won't bomb you.
In my own.
Yes, sir. Please go on.
No,
sir.
I can hear you, sir.
What are ports?
I think ports are is a channel where traffic goes into a virtual machine in and out.
Come again, sir.
Like is like an okay. I mean, what? I mean, is a security gate where traffic go through inbound and outbound. Am I right?
What have we, Mr. Ayobamimola, on the contrary opinion?
Based on my own little knowledge of networking, I think port is just a communication endpoint.
A what? Communication end.
Endpoint.
Endpoint. Professor Dotun, what about Dasi? Please go on, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jabami.
I think is when I say like a software-based endpoint, as a communication channel for network data.
Yes. So, so communication channel ni it's just something very simple, and tabama relate with something that relate pẹ̀lú. Téèyàn bá fẹ́ jẹun sìn, èèyàn lè gbọ́ oúnjẹ gba imú, it passes through the mouth. So port tó ń jẹ máa ń gbà ẹnu, but imú wa ń sìn a lè fi imú wa ríran. We will use the eyes for that particular function, for that particular connectivity. Òun la máa lò fún. A lè fi ojú wa ká fi gbọ́ràn, etí wa la máa lò. So àwọn devices tá à ń wò yìí, all these devices, they have different ports that performs different connections. Ẹ wo ro PC yín sìn, ká tó lo another relatable example. Your PC, on the side, ẹ máa rí pé you have a port that you use to charge. You have a port tí USB máa wọ̀. You have a port where be an SSD lè wọ̀. You have a port for headphones. You can't interchange these ports for their functionalities or for their connectivities. Shall I understand? Similarly, all of these network devices that you're seeing on PCs were tó bá ti dọ̀rọ̀ network connection, they have a total of 65,535 different ports tó máa fi ṣe connections. Now, tẹ́ bá wò, for you to send an email, your domain needs to have the SMTP port, which is port 25. It needs to be opened for you to be able to send any email. Tí ó bá wà opened, kò email yín ò ní lọ. For you to visit a web application like facebook.com, the HTTP port 80 needs to be opened, or the port HTTPS, which is 443, needs to be opened. Similarly, tẹ́ bá fẹ́ ṣe file transfer, you want bóyá ẹ fẹ́ lo Bluetooth yín sìn, ẹ fẹ́ fi ṣe file transfer from one point to the other, you need to use the FTP port 23. Am I correct? 23 none. Or if you want to make it more secure in terms of you're sending it through a network and you want to make it secure, ẹ máa sọ pé SSH ports. I think this is 23 and this is 22. Kind of. So each individual port has a corresponding port number. Now, the correct way to say this is not to say that SMTP is port 25 or you say HTTP is port 80. No, that is wrong. Not that it is wrong, but the correct way to say it is to say port HTTP service runs on port 80. SMTP service runs on port 25. HTTPS service runs on port 443. That's the correct way to say it. Ṣé kò tí dàrú? I'm trying to drive at the point. Ṣé kò tí dàrú rárá? So I'm ní ìsìn báyìí pé for my device, for this device that we are using, for me to be able to communicate with you remotely, I need an RDP port to be opened. RDP port, I think that's about maybe 143. 143, that's IMAP. This is IMAP. We need the RDP port to be opened. I forgot the corresponding port number for RDP. So it needs to be opened. So gbogbo àwọn domains nǹkankan, àwọn devices tá la fẹ́ scan yìí ń sìn, irú device tá fẹ́ scan yìí ń sìn, this particular IP 172.20.10, which represents this device, has a total number of 65,535 open ports, out of which some of it are common. There are some ports that are called common ports, the HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, SSH. These are common ports that we should know. I'm still coming. Now, torí nǹkan tá a rí bí mo ṣe sáré digress báyìí, not entirely digress. Now, ó wá ń bí pé scan type, port scan. Do you want to scan the common ports or all of the ports? Or you want to say custom ports? Now, torí ẹ̀ náà mo ti ń ṣàlàyé pé tá a bá fẹ́ approach ẹ̀ in the point of view of the consultant, a máa ní scope of work, SOW. Clients máa sọ fún wa pé a fẹ́ kẹ́ scan from port 1 to port 1000, don't exceed that. Tí client bá ti fún yín ní SOW for 1 to 1000, tẹ́ bá ṣe 1 to 1001, wọ́n lè take illegal steps against èèyàn, so it becomes illegal that way. Chetiri, even pé you have a proper contract, you are still guided by some things you cannot do within that particular project. Ká tó wá sọ pé n tó tẹ̀ lọ scan without any authorization. You get the point? Now, wọ́n á define, oh, we want to scan from port 30 to port 105 alone. Or we just want you to scan port 80 for us to see if our ATT port is okay and it is not vulnerable. Or we want you to scan all of the ports we have. You know, wọ́n á define any scope of work. Ẹ dákun ṣé kò dàrú rárá, tó clear. Now we go clear. Okay, great. So now scan type. So kò sí ìta lè ṣe, you can run common port, you can run all of the port. But in a case whereby a client says custom, wọ́n fún yín ní pé port 1 to kìnìkan, so you make it custom. Then under host discovery, under port scanning, so port range, ẹ wá lè sọ pé port from, maybe wọ́n ní kẹ́ scan from port 39 to port 1056 from bí àpẹẹrẹ, you just put it there. So the system will just scan these ports for you. So in the case whereby you don't need to do that, we just make it, let's say, scan the common ports that we have. It just shown clear. Now, in an event tó jẹ́ pé any web application tó jẹ́ pé lára àwọn or nǹkan tẹ́ fẹ́ scan web application wà lára ẹ̀, ẹ máa set scan type yín sí pé you want to know scan for known vulnerabilities or all vulnerabilities that is quick or complex. You know, tó bá jẹ́ pé ó include the web applications, so make it default. Ṣé kò dàrú? We know what a web application is. A web application could be facebook.com, instagram.com, kinikan.com, mototech.ai. You know, all of these are web applications. Ṣé ń clear bí? Then report yìí, ẹ jẹ́ ká filẹ̀ default the way it is as the default. Now, in the mantra láti ṣe ni pé kó report as much information as possible, but ele máa ń jẹ space, you know, but it's still okay if you do that on the field. So report as much information as possible. So but for this, let's just leave it to this. Then gbogbo nǹkan tá fẹ́ ṣe náà nìyẹn. So there are some advanced settings which we do not need, and this talks about scan low bandwidth links which we do not need essentially. So make it default. Eja go through it again. So under the general, put in the name, the description, the folder at first save scan see, and the targets. Then then you save it. You click on save. So as click on save button, you would see that you're not seeing the name of the scan here. Torí pé as save as under IT assets. We'll now click on IT assets like this. We'll see the first IT scan. So scan that's a configure in Lily, but IT run it. You get. Now for you to now run it, you see this play button. MRE launch. You now click on launch. License me to expire. Unfortunately, let me see if this is done. Now installation might take quite some time. This is why this is taking forever. Terrible. I'm not been able to try that with the other system team moving install. install plugins in here. Software updates, manual software updates, updates plugins. Okay. Okay. So it's still working. So it's not a problem. So you just click on the launch button and it starts to scan. So now, what do you see when it starts to scan? Let me see. Let's see, scan. Checking. Ah. Okay. Let's see all scans. So it was. We don't even have the history to this. So I actually thought we'd see the history of this ones, but apparently it's in them now. So scans are disabled due to let me see trash. Do we have anything in trash? No. Okay, let me see software update. Let's see manual software update. Let's see update plugins. Okay. Well, I actually just got this my system back. So I've had this Nexus before, but apparently license set to expire. Let me see. The system setting stuff. So you don't have to do this. You don't have to bother with this. Let's run sudo dash dash. I'll just grab this 1 minute. So installing it on Kali is also very straightforward. So this is what to do. Okay. So this is just taking us through the installation of Nessus. So tabati wa lórí page yìí báyìí. What we'll do next is just to click on continue, and we can use the Nessus export and click on continue. Then the activation code. So again, so taba click on register offline and you click on that. So you click on Nessus export and it tells you to do all this process. Once that is done, I'll be part of our CVV. So we don't want to do this. We don't want to do the. Let me see. Continue. Nessus export. So I have a license key already. So I'll just grab that. 1 minute. I check inside. Grab it. So I'm not sure where that is. Where is it? Okay. So I have an activation code actually. I think I need to start that again. So I click on continue, Nessus export, continue. So activation code me Marconsi. So my activation code is 7Q37, then MNBM. Tebasi she registration in just like I showed it the other time. After any activation code to my sense mail 6x5T PYQR KH2H. Then we click on continue. Then we click on submit. Continue. Create a user account. Activation field. Right. Checking again. 7Q37 MNBM 6X 5T PYQR KHTH. Yes, this is correct. Activation key field. Okay. So in an event where that happens, download Nessus Essential and let's click on continue. We don't have an activation code. Let's just back off. Let me see that again. Okay, we're starting again. We don't have an activation code. So again, I'll have to purge this again to start all over. So I'm just trying to make sure that everything is in place. Okay, then we'll run a sudo. Well, let's see locate Nessus to see if they have Nessus at all. VAR. I'm just trying to see if it is um, the process ID is on at any point before we run it again. So those pkg minus I. So you don't have to bother with this, and then not to bother with Lily. I'm just using Kali because multi installer is sorry Windows me, and it is not allowing me to install it again. Start SST ls, and so let's go back. Advanced, accept the risk and continue. So whilst that is going on, our major discussion starting in ní àti rí steps bá a ṣe máa passing àwọn assets wa sínú Nessus for scanning. Àti rí bá a ṣe máa create different folders for different groups of assets. A dẹ̀ ti mọ bá a ṣe máa ṣe its configuration, its settings for scanning. So nǹkan tó kù náà ni pé ká kàn launch scanning. And we have also explained to explain. We just touched on this. We touched on this. We touched on ports. What other thing did we talk about? So I think this is the major thing we need to talk about. Okay. Tá bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa approach of a consultant, I said there are some certain documents that need lati put in place. We should have a contract. Now I think I have something I shared with some of our colleagues some times ago, if I can just find that. So I need a contract. This states when does the project start, when does it end. This is between who and who, what company, who is the consultant, who is the client. I'm at define gbogbo eléyìí nínú contract wa. Lẹ́yìn náà, we would have the SOW, the scope of work. I just hope I'll be able to find this. And its scope of work. Now, I'd worked on, I think I'm adding the resources. See here. Let's see here. So I'd worked on a certain project. I think this is it. Yes. So I worked on this project with some companies in Qatar. So, kí ni wọ́n fẹ́? Wọ́n fẹ́ kí n ṣe vulnerability assessment and pen testing of the following. So VAPT la máa ń pè. So it will include vulnerability assessment and pen testing of these assets. So the scope. Alakoko, network penetration testing, internal and external. The scope on 2 firewalls, 20 physical servers, 20 virtual servers, 1 router, 60 host PCs. Now, you see that we are having about 103 devices here. Ta ní láti ṣe vulnerability assessment wọn àti pen testing wọn. Then I'm actually configuration review, white box testing for the same assets again. So this is the scope. What is defined nǹkan tán fẹ́? We want a network pen testing, internal and external. We want a configuration review on this. So me lè exceed nǹkan tán fẹ́. So scope of work ó ti dè mí lórí nǹkan tí mo fẹ́ ṣe. Now it's a longer document. This is just a summary of what the whole scope of work is all about. I just hope you understand that. Then any ROE. ROE sábà máa ń wá tá bá ń ṣe pen testing. And this is rules of engagement. Rule of engagement. Tá bá ń ṣe pen testing, a máa simulate àwọn external threat actors. Please let me know if there are questions. Okay, there's a question. So let's go back here. So necessary essential. I don't have an activation code, bro. Okay. What's happening? Let me see. So I'll just download this again. So, I mean, if I waste the time really, because it's going to take quite some time for it to complete. So maybe when next we meet, I'm gonna complete the scanning. But for now, I to understand the configuration there. Now, I was talking about the rules of engagement. Ibi rules of engagement yìí, mo ní ó máa ń sábà wáyé tá a bá ń ṣe penetration testing. Sometimes on vulnerability assessment as well. Torí lára àwọn nǹkan tá a gbọ́dọ̀ mọ̀ ó ní pé when you want to assess for vulnerabilities, at times it can interfere with operations, and ìgbà míì ẹ lè lose the file gan. So that is why you need to have a disclaimer form or a disclaimer agreement. Yeah, wow. In the process of having checking, I'll lose the file. I'll make sure that we don't lose files, but we can lose some files. So there should be a disclaimer form. Now, rules of engagement. One sọ fún yín pé, okay, if you are performing pen test, fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ ṣe DOS, fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ ṣe brute force, fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ ṣe maybe SQL, for example, SQLi. You know, these are some attacks we don't want you to simulate when you are penetrating, when you are running a penetration test. Now, this will be defined in the rules of engagement. I believe that is clear. So, rules of engagement now, tó bá jẹ́ pé fún vulnerability assessment, they will tell you that date báyìí ni àwọn fẹ́ kẹ́ run ẹ̀, you know, kẹ́ má run ẹ̀ during this time. You know, it should not be during work hours. It should be at a particular time. Then disclaimer form ní pé disclaimer agreement òun ní pé a lè lose the file. So just to keep yourself safe, you know, then documents that tún ní authorization letter, yeah. Now, mo ti lè experience eléyìí gangan rí particularly, and ọlọ́run ló ní kéèyàn ṣọ́ra. Sometimes a máa ń láwọn CEOs tó jẹ́ pé they have an internal team for their web application, they have an internal IT team, but our internal team wọ́n dẹ̀ not run a vulnerability assessment, but torí pé wọ́n doubt, wọ́n ní trust issue, and that was particularly in a case whereby this person reached out. He has a what do I want to say, Bitcoin conversion. You know, people put in Bitcoin, they get Naira, and you know, something like that. So he wants to make sure that customers' funds are safe. So although what is the internal vulnerability assessment, but he still wants an external person to assess for vulnerabilities on it. So he reached out, and I sought for an authorization letter because he didn't want the internal IT team to know. But it is not possible that torí tí máa ń run scan lórí that particular web application, those guys will know at the back end. They would see my IP address at the back end, and once they see it, they can block it. So once they block it, it is difficult for me to run any scan. And sometimes wọ́n lè lọ flag ẹ̀ sórí abuse IPDB, wọ́n lè lọ flag IP address mi sórí abuse IPDB. Abuse IPDB is a database of bad IP addresses, which I don't want to risk. So, èèyàn ní authorization letter látọ̀dọ̀ àwọn internal IT team àwọn organization yẹn that shows that they are aware of the scan. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, so clear. Mi mọ̀ bóyá ó ń clear o.
Yes, we are getting it. I'm getting it.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Then, lẹ́yìn authorization letter yẹn, kí ló tún kù náà? There's this other document. Ìyàwó Eniola, era ìyàwó. Document wo ló kù náà? Ó rí àwọn òkú document kan báyìí.
Professor.
Ẹ mọ̀ pé ilẹ̀ ń ṣe compliance, gbogbo àwọn kíni ilẹ̀ máa mọ̀. Gbogbo àwọn document yìí ó máa ń authorization disclaimer. These are the major ones actually. Now, yeah, ìyàwó mo tún mọ̀ wá pẹ̀lú yín.
NDA, non-disclosure.
Yeah, non-disclosure agreements. Non-disclosure agreement. Yeah, this is very important. Very, very important. Now, non-disclosure, you must have somebody internally tó jẹ́ pé òun lè máa fún ní final result. Final. You must know the person. You know, because kò í ṣe gbogbo ẹni tó wà in that organizational team náà lè máa share result yẹn fún. It must be a designated person. You must have someone. So there should be a non-disclosure agreement. Yeah, very important one. Then there has to be a document that states the number of days Tefima retaining output scanning, because the output of the scan, it should not be more with you for more than 7 to 14 days, because Teba to submit from the from the date of submission. Our account is 7 to 14 days. Then in 14 days, you delete all those data from your own database, from your own device, and delete it. So you have to make that clear as well. Tori elomile wa ba yin pe result ojo sin ko you don't have it, after 14 days. So these are some documents that need to be put in place when consulting, for a vulnerability assessment. So I would re-download this. Might download it again, so I don't waste time. So Ejeka will not try that to download it. We can follow through with the same process, Starfish configuration here, and run your own scan. Can now will output Busheri. So Taba means next. I would have had everything set up, the new one, and we can run the scan together. So today's session, will you create more clarity to what we discussed yesterday? Has it created a bit more clarity to our discussion yesterday? Okay, good.
Yes.
So any progress then? Do we have any questions? So Kole, from the point of view of a 9 to 5 person, our documents are necessary. We have a dedicated screen, a dedicated device where Nessus is installed. The only function that device performs is a Nessus scan. So you just go there, put in the parameters, which has already been there, except there are new devices that have been incorporated into the network. Takamani Lati had, by collaborating with the IT team. Amafi IP address once there. Then just click on launch. Otitan, scan afuan results. Results discussion yẹn la fẹ́ discuss next. Lẹ́yìn tá a bá ti scan tán, àwa máa discuss result yẹn. Àwa gbé wa lọ síbi bó láti ṣe wá assess risk. Àwa mọ̀ pé next class wa báyìí a máa ṣe risk assessment, so it's going to be so comprehensive. So please, I will just implore us, káwa náà try ká download the Nessus before the next session together. Can download there, can scan our virtual machines in, look out the outputs, and in our next session we'll now discuss the output together. Any questions, Kokon?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Kokon.
Thank you, sir. A question of the meaning would download Kali,
Okay.
but me reinstall on gbé mi lórí virtual machine. Ṣé ISO yẹn ṣé window 8 náà máa lò pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ àbí?
No. It might be wrong. So ISO Kali, do you have it currently, sir?
Yes,
Okay, maybe you share a screen with us so that we can just learn from it.
I'm running it on another computer.
From another computer. Okay, okay, okay.
Yes.
So let me just walk you through it. I think we can quickly do that. Now, again, you don't have to install it. You don't have to bother yourself with Kali. Torí we have a particular project tó jẹ́ pé ẹ máa sweat dáadáa lórí Kali yẹn, and it's compulsory. It's compulsory. In fact, tá a bá ń ṣe final assessment wa, ó wà lára àwọn project tá a máa ń wò. So a máa sweat dáadáa lórí Kali yẹn. Now, for you to mount your Kali,
Okay.
alákọ̀ọ́kọ́, you would have downloaded your Kali's what's it called, file online, gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe fi hàn yín in the last session. So ó máa
Yes.
download as a zip file. It will download as a zip.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, correct.
Am I correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So ó máa download as a zip. Mo ń wo ibi tó wà ní o. So all virtual machines. So it will download as a zip, just like this. You see 7Z. This is Kali Linux. The first thing you need to do is right click on it and right click on it and okay, I need 7Z to run this. So you need to extract. That's the first thing. Let me see another one. Virtual machines.
Yeah, done.
Maybe no. If I want another one. So you need to extract it first. No, I'm looking for that particular file. So okay, just extract. You need to extract it. This PC. So it will come in a format like this. You see compressed zip. You just right click on it and you see extract all. It just extracts. So Tabati extract all wá as a folder like this. You see it as a folder
Yes.
like this. I extract it by. Now inside this file you see two VDI images. Two images like this, the blue and the red. Now Tabati Ribae, you now come to your to your VirtualBox. You click on new. You give it a name. You can say Kali machine. You don't need to insert any ISO. If you have any ISO frequency. So under type, you click on Linux. Subtype, you click on Ubuntu.
Okay.
Then you leave it like this. You skip the unattended installation. You go to hardware. For hardware, you can increase this to about 4 gigabyte, 4098,
Okay.
4096. Then I'll increase processor, I say about 4. Then hard disk, you can increase this to about 88. Yeah. So hardware, based on what I have now, this my device is 32 gigabytes. This is why I'm able to conveniently give it 4 gig. So, and I'm also able to give it 4 CPUs out of 12 CPUs that I have. So once you're done, you just click on finish. And quickly, now, click on start. Don't click on start yet because you've not added any images. So you click on settings. You click on storage. Then Kali machine, you find it here, or any name you've given to it, you see it here, .vdi. You click on it. Then click on this blue disk. Then you say choose or create a virtual hard disk, just like this. You click on that. Then you now say add. Click on add. Emma click Lori, but I don't want view. Now go back to where you have the extracted folder, where you have the extracted file. So I have it somewhere here. I don't even know where I have it here. Where's desktop again? Okay, desktop on all virtual machine. So where you have it, so you open everything. So Eduardi device, you now click on it and you now say open. You now say choose. You now say okay. About then you click on start. You're good to go. so kò need ìṣòro kankan need kẹ́ install anything again, just click on start. Tó bá ti bring username and password, your default username and password is Kali. So the default username and password would be Kali. Kali as in Kali. Username is Kali, password is Kali, all in lowercase. So that's how you go about it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Very simple process, but yeah, just go through it. Then what have the Yawa mentioned? So 14 days is the retention period. Ben, 14 days. 14 days. Come on, exceed the 14 days. So we have professors who are asking further questions. Okay, so please, ẹ dákun ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ẹ try kẹ́ install Nessus before the next class. Ẹ dákun, kẹ́ ẹ náà try go through what we did, àwọn settings yẹn, virtual machine yẹn, for example, any server kan, if you have a server, ẹ start ẹ, kẹ́ lọ wo IP address ẹ, kẹ́ scan ẹ, or you have your Windows 8, ẹ wo IP address Windows 8 yẹn, kẹ́ fi sínú àwọn scan test wa, kẹ́ fi sínú ẹ, kẹ́ wá scan ẹ, kẹ́ launch scan yẹn. So kẹ́ ẹ náà observe. So in our next session, I can discuss the results again, so it's easier that way. So alright everyone, okay, I'll render the video and share with you as soon as possible. And bye bye.